Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on the 1st of August 2012, picking up where we left off in the last video. And last time we had just finished getting our basic Hello World server working. And I'm really happy to have this going. Now there's just some cleanup to do. We've got some to-dos to take care of, and we need to integrate and stuff like that. So first, I want to take care of some of these issues here. We need to take care of the case where stop is called before start, and we also need to test drive the stop callback. And I think I'm going to do that second one first. So it's always, let's just go ahead and make sure everything's clean before we get started. So yeah, everything's running clean, so that's good. So I want to say that the server runs callback when stop completes. Now there's a couple of issues there. So what we need to do is we need to basically say server.stop, and that should work, and I'm sure it will. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't, because we haven't done server.start yet. Let's go ahead and pull this out into a setup method. Okay, so everything's good here. Now we just need to tell the test that it's done. I forgot about that. Oh, and there. So now the problem is if we're calling stop here, then our teardown method doesn't work. So let's go ahead and run start again. That's quite a kludge though, so we'll come back to that. All right, so that works. So what we need to do is basically just say here that our test is done. Now this code has already been written. It had to be written in order for our other code to work. So I think if we were to take that out, yeah, things just wouldn't work properly. What if we yeah. So this isn't something we can test drive because in a way we already test drove it in our other test, but I wanted to have it a test specifically about this just to document it a little bit better. So I think that's all we need to do. Now, I am making an assumption that this callback is run after stop completes, but there's no way not to have that happen with the way we've coded this, and I don't think figuring out how to test that would add a lot of value. When I decide what test to write, I look at the code and say, well, what mistake could I make in the future or could be making now that would cause this test to fail? Since it's actually not our logic doing the callback, I just want to make sure we're passing it through, and that's all. And this proves that we're passing it through, so that's good enough in my opinion. So this to-do is done. Now we need to handle the case where stop is called before start. So now the question is, if stop is called twice in a row, is that okay, or is that considered an error? And if it's considered an error, then I think our existing behavior is fine. If it's okay, then obviously we need it to work a little bit more cleanly. So let's see what the existing behavior is right now. If we call server.stop and then server.stop, and then server.start, what happens? Actually, I'm betting that will fail because we're not passing in our callback. Oops. That commit wasn't really necessary, but at least it has a sensible error message now. So the error we get is not running. You know, I'd like my code to fail fast. I think it would be a programmer error to call stop twice in a row. That means that we don't really understand what's happening with the server. So I'm not going to test that. I think it should throw an exception. And I could either, I typically don't test my assertion, you know, my fail fast code. But since we're already here, let's go ahead and stop call twice in a row throws exception. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that in Node Unit, we have some sort of way of asserting that an exception should be thrown. Yeah, throws. Let's say that test.throws function, we're expecting that to throw what? Actually, let's just expect it to throw anything. Okay, that's good, except we're not calling done. Let's come back to this. I think the fact that we're starting and stopping our server all the time is causing some confusion. Let's not actually have a setup that starts the server. We've only got one test that wants it. And I also think that the stopping can happen here, which makes this test really complicated, but we'll figure that out later. Okay. So that means we'll have to fix this. Test server returns hello world is working fine. Test server runs callback when stop completes. No longer should run test, or actually should do it here. And you know what? I want it to fail if we forget to put the port number in like we had. So that should work. It does. We're starting it and then confirming that it runs the callback. And I can take that out. It's not so bad now. And now here, we're going to stop called when server isn't running, throws exception. Yeah. And what happens if it doesn't throw the exception? Perfect. Okay. So let's also add in the case that we expect it to throw an exception when the server is called without a port number. And of course, we'll need a test.done. Yeah, missing expected exception, perfect. Now here in the server, we can say if we're going to throw a we can just throw a string for now, but I want to actually write code to fail fast instead. So, and that throws a proper error object, but I think this will work for now. Now in the future, I might want to give a default, but that's not how I want it to work right now. So there we go. That's all working perfectly. Yeah, I think that's good. And we're handling the case where stop is called before start. And what other to-dos do we have? Nothing there. And here, we've created a very simple HTTP server. And oh yeah, we need to modify the build script to enforce our node version. Not so sure about that. Also, future ideas, we need to create fail fast code. Every single project I do, I end up writing some code to do basic assertions in my production code to cause the code to fail fast. Failing fast is valuable because it exposes errors in your testing rather than in production code. So if you're interested in that theory taken to the extreme, by the way, take a look at, do a search for Netflix's Chaos or Simian Army, particularly Chaos Monkey, really takes this to the logical extreme, and I love it, where they actually have, they're actually forcing their code to fail on a regular basis and checking that it can recover from those failures well. It's very cool stuff. That's Netflix's Chaos Monkey, and it's Simian Army. Well worth investigating if you haven't seen it before. Anyway, so I think we are pretty much done with this first story of creating a Hello World server. So next time, we're going to change gears and start looking at the client. And we might do this as well. And we also need to integrate. That's what we'll pick up with next time. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.